Hi guys, I'm Rajiv, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to label images to train neural networks for grasping applications. Now the two tools that you'll need for this are first GIMP graphics editor and second a few images to label. Now the GIMP graphics editor can be found on their official site in the download tab, and the images that I used were from this site. I'll link it down below, and if you scroll down to training, the direct download link is what you're looking for. Now, once you've downloaded everything you've needed to, head over to GIMP and import the image that you want to label. If you're using the same images that I am, then color input is where the images are going to be. Right. So this is the image that I'll be using. Let's just zoom in a little. Right, so the first thing that you want to do is create a transparent layer, and the icon for that is right here. A window will pop up, and let's just call this layer 1. And there are different options for here for fill width, but we're going to use transparency for right now. Make sure the transparent layer is above the image, and the next thing that you want to do is select the brush tool, and in the hardness section, make sure you've selected this big round black circle that's solid. And here's where you're going to find all the aspects for the brush. The one I'm going to use in this video is only size. And make sure the color you selected is black, where the RGB, LCH are all 0. Now something I want you to take note of is that you want to have the transparent layer selected, because if you've had the original image selected and you've drawn something into it, once you hide this, all of what you've drawn is gone. Whereas if you've selected the transparent layer, if you've drawn into that, once you hide this, it still remains. So just watch out for that. Now what you want to do is, you want to go to one of the objects that you want to label, and near its corner, you just want to start bordering it. Now, why we're doing this is so that the robot knows that this black area is just the surroundings of the object, and it's not where it needs to hold on to. Make sure you also get the sides of the objects, because the robot's gonna grab onto these objects from the top. So just in line with the corners and the edges, and just the near surroundings. Then you want to switch over to gray, and make sure it's this shade of gray, where RGB is 50.2 and LCH are these values. I'd recommend you turn down the size of the brush so that it's easier and more accurate when you're filling in the gray inside. It's fine if the gray overlaps a little into the black, because we can always fix that. I'll show you how. First finish filling in the gray as much as you can, then switch over to black again, the same shade that you used before, and just straighten out the edges and the corners here. Right. Alright, let's move on to this object next. I'm just gonna increase the brush size a little, move to the corners, and start shading in. Now watch out for this elevated surface, because you don't want to highlight that, because the robot would think that that elevated surface is flat surface, which it's not. Also, I want you to notice that I'm going to connect this black into the black for this object, because there's not too much space between these objects. But whereas in this case, there is that space, and that's why I left that gap there. And also notice that I'm going to move the black a little into the object's apparently top surface, because this side is actually the side of it. I'll show you why. If you zoom in more, and I don't think it's that clear, but there's some light here that tells you that this is actually the side of it and not the top. So just watch out for those minor details and fill it in. I'm also gonna blacken out this green cap because the top surface is not flat. And don't worry, that's not going to cause any difficulties for us. Once again, watch out for the side of this part of the object. They're just small details, pay attention to them. And now watch out for this elevated surface. You don't want to blacken that out. So just make sure you get the corners, and it's fine to overlap to the top side where all this white is. Just make sure you get all that white and don't get on top of this elevated surface. Just maybe get the touch right. Cover this side, yeah. Cool. Let's switch over to gray now. Just gonna turn down the brush size a little. And once again, don't worry if you overlap. A helpful tip is to make the black overlap a little into the top surface of the objects, because once you're making it gray and you overlap into the black and you're trying to now straighten it out, at least when you're straightening it out, you know that you've covered the top surface of the object. Cool. Switch back to gray. And fill in this top. Feel free to skip on if you're feeling confident in this area. Just gonna finish covering all these portions. There we go. And covered all the whites, so I'm gonna straighten it out now. Also, make sure you, when you're straightening it out, you maintain your brush to the outside surfaces and not too much to the inside of the gray area, because you don't want to thin the top surface down too much. Right. We're done with the first part of it. So now if you hide this, you can see that your shaded portions are all there. And the next part is you're going to drag this original image down to the X down here so that you can delete it. And what you want to do is you want to create a white layer now. So we'll call it layer 2. And for fill width, we're going to say white now. You're going to make sure that layer 2 is below layer 1. Now, do you notice these white spaces in between the gray and black? You can't just leave them. You have to fill them in as well. So we're going to fill these in as well. There we go. Just make sure you look for all these white spaces and you fill them in. If you need to straighten out the edges again after filling in these white spaces, go ahead. And yeah, I think we're done labeling. So now what we're going to do is go to File and Export As. I'm going to go to GIMP in this folder. Export. Yes. And yeah, export. And now let's just go and take a look at it. Hey, looks good. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you have a good day, and hope this video helped.